As an artist, if the right people are not watching your work, the talent doesn't really matter. It's not like it doesn't matter. It's not enough. In my opinion, talent is about 20 to 30% of what you have accomplished as an artist when you're trying to put your work out there, build a personal brand that help you pull more audience towards what you're trying to put out there in order to sustain a lifetime career. This is probably a moment where artists get stuck with. As an artist, I'm sure you are trying to improve your craft. You feel like you've put a lot of hours to it. You've been posting consistently, but the response isn't what you're expecting to receive. Not because your work is bad, is because you're reaching the wrong audience. What do you think happens when you're hitting the wrong audience? Let's start with your friends. A lot of the times we think that reaching out to your friends to receive the support needed to validate your work, it's a good starting point, but that doesn't necessarily mean your friends are the right audience for what you're trying to put out there. When the wrong people see your work, it creates noise and it impacts your momentum on the negative side. The momentum you put so much hours into, they don't fully understand it. They don't know why it's for them, and they don't stick around. Most creators think this is a marketing problem. I feel like with everything that I've been trying to cover, either here directly to you guys or just in general, has the least amount of relevance to marketing. When your brand is strong, when your identity is strong, when you really focus on where to position your identity based on the value that you have established, which we covered on the last two videos, then marketing becomes much easier to understand. The goal for me in this channel is to get you to a point where the marketing becomes part of what you're doing, part of your day-to-day kind of activity, focusing into what you're trying to do while it markets itself, focusing on delivering high quality value that market itself, focusing on protecting your brand identity that also market itself, focusing on finding the right position, filling the right gap in your market that will market itself. So once you get to the phase, which is the next video of marketing or strategizing how to market your brand, the goal is for me to make this much easier for you guys by the time you get your brand to where you have to market. As long as you follow that order, establishing your value, brand identity, brand positioning. So why this is not a marketing issue? You assume you need better content. You assume you need more exposure. You assume you have to ramp up the amount of content you put out there. Or sometimes you feel like you need to diversify your content within multiple platforms, or you need a bigger platform in order to really deliver the value you're focusing on and get to the right audience, which is a common mistake. A lot of the times we feel like, oh, if we get from this amount of followers to this amount of followers, or if we move from this city to the next city, which is bigger, or if I have this bigger platform that brings more people together, you're going to be able to really get to the point that you think you will. But in my opinion, that's wrong. If you have not given enough attention to the other things that we're focusing on, we're talking about. Because the real issue comes much earlier. If you have established your value right, if you have find the right identity for what you're trying to put out there, this is where you can move towards where you position yourself into the market. So what does exactly positioning mean? Positioning is a decision that determines who your work is meant to resonate with before it even reaches the market, before you even launch your business or whatever your brand is going to be. Without it, your work is kind of going to be out there, just out there doing its thing. But that does not necessarily mean it's going to build traction and momentum you're expecting. And it's not going to build loyalty for the market to bring back the same need and repeat those opportunities. One of the common mistakes, again, that people make when they launch or when they put their work out there, they want their friends to pull that validation towards them and give them what they should be receiving from the right audience. And what happens when you get the support from your friends that are just out there to support you no matter what, you're instantly diluting your goal and what you're trying to do. What I advise people is that, let's say, when you do start a channel or when you do start a business idea, just try to advertise it to the people that are in need or potentially in need of that kind of services. And later on in this channel, I really want to talk more in depth about support system, because I always say support is good, but not all supports are needed for what you're trying to do. A lot of the times, avoiding some sort of support is actually help you get to your goals much faster. So please stay tuned, like and subscribe, and just share this with the ones that actually will find this kind of content beneficial. That's another thing. If I just put this out there asking my friends to just like and subscribe, it's just going to confuse my algorithms, and it's also going to just not give me what I'm looking for. Going back to what I was just talking about, that is something I want 100% avoid. I'm not going to share these with my friends because a lot of my friends might not resonate with what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to receive. So back to brand positioning and why it's so important. Before the market decide where you belong, you have to decide where you don't, because when you don't do the positioning right, the market will find a position for you. So here's the thing. When people, entrepreneurs, for instance, are just trying to make money, they might not go with the same order as what we're trying to focus on here in this channel. My main focus is to build a personal brand from scratch with the order that I'm going with. So, your brand, your identity protects you as an artist and sustain you in your lifetime career, which is extremely difficult. Being an artist, it's probably the toughest thing you can do out of all the choices you have in life to build something meaningful. So what I'm trying to say here, entrepreneurs or businesses might actually just go straight into the positioning phase, find the gap, and based on that gap, build an identity, build the value, and market it there. Focusing on the money aspect of it, if you're just trying to leverage profit, you could skip the first two, start from positioning, find where the gap is in the market, and then go back, establish a value that really help people with their needs, knowing that there's a good position in the market that you picked. Then you go ahead with brand identity and then marketing it and putting it out there and actually get to your profit that you expect. But we're not taking that route at all. Keep that in mind. I'm not here to help you make money. I'm here to help you find a path as you're making more money while you're sustaining your identity as an artist, which is the most important thing in my opinion. This channel is focusing on building personal brand into 5 major pillars. In the last 2 videos, we focused on establishing a value and finding an identity that protects that value. Establishing a value that's repeatable and solves someone else's problem beyond yourself and beyond you expressing yourself as an artist. The second pillar was to find the right identity for that value. So while you're on that path to build that value, the non-negotiable that protects your value. And in this video, the third video, brand positioning, it's about making sure the right people see your work, recognize its value immediately, and understand why it's for them and not everyone else. It's about making sure the right people find your work, they recognize your value immediately, and understand why it's for them. Another way to put it, positioning isn't marketing. Positioning is a decision. It's deciding what you will serve and what you won't. It's about knowing your audience clearly enough to know any choice or any content, partnership, pricing, or even a tone that you put out there reinforces that clarity. For filmmakers, this matters deeply. For instance, if your story is about emerging creatives, but you go ahead and package it for prestigious festivals, that's already misalignment right there. You may get attention, don't get me wrong, but that will not help you build a community or a momentum that help you sustain your career. Positioning mistakes are expensive. Just like everything else I've covered in the past, confusion, not having the right identity for your brand, making mistakes in positioning phase could also be as costly as those two. So keep that in mind. There's been times in my experience that directors put almost like more than a few years into a project, but when they made it, it was not meant for the audience they were targeting for. It hit the wrong audience. Think about that. Several years of hard work, so much money, because as many of you guys know, film is extremely costly.
Yeah.
So if something costs so much with such high risk, and it's a speculative sort of approach where you don't really know if it's going to make you even a single dime, then you naturally want to be much, much more careful with every step you take. And again, I'm not saying this to paralyze you. You need to find ways to empower your path and keep pushing until you figure these things out. And again, I didn't know about a lot of these things, and I had to sort of just experiment through them. But if I had better guidance system, I may have skipped a lot of the mistakes that ended up costing me money and pulled me aside or pushed me on the edge. So keep that in mind, that what I'm trying to say, a lot of the things you're going to have to just learn it your own way and figure it out. But these things that I condense into 5 major pillars are inevitables. You're going to have to either follow this path to begin with, or just consider that as you're building a voice, or you're gonna just basically go aggressively and thinking that you're able to like pull it off without considering these things, and at some point it's going to hit you with a brick wall, and then you're gonna have to sort of pivot or go around it or figure a way out to really solve the problem that you're facing. Especially when you get to positioning. Misaligned positioning, it's going to waste a lot of your time, your effort, and a lot of money. This will also confuse your audience, and it's going to impact your branding, marketing, and everything else around it, and make it harder and more vulnerable. Correct positioning ensures your value from pillar 1 is being seen, recognized, and repeatable. Here's a simple and repeatable framework you can use right now. Define your audience. Who actually benefits from your work? Be specific as you can. Even if it's just one single person in your community that you think will like what you put out there. Because again, once you find that very first person, you best believe that your work is going to resonate with those people, and you can find those similar tastes out there. Clarify your unique difference. What sets you apart from other people solving the same problem? Determine your category and scope. Are you a filmmaker telling social stories, or you're trying to lean more towards commercial, poppy, mainstream type of work? Because you can't try to be both. Align every decision to your positioning, content, partnership, messaging, even your pricing should reflect your positioning. Drop your positioning statement in the comment section. 1 sentence. I serve by in. I'll respond to the most clear and actionable ones. It's a diagnostic kind of approach to help you understand if your positioning is strong enough for a sustainable brand. If filmmakers may make films that appeal to festival juries, that's a niche. But if they're trying to take the same films to a broad streaming audience without adapting, it's not gonna work. Their traction will be minimal. Positioning is about making strategic decisions that maximize your impact. It's the lens through which every creative and business choice passes. It also protects your identity. Your value from pillar 2, your core identity, should guide every positioning choice you make. Think of it as a funnel. Value, identity, positioning, market impact. Do you notice the connections across all pillars? Pillar 1, define your value. What problem you solve. Pillar 2 created your identity, the identity to your visible language of your brand. Pillar 3 defines who sees your value and how they experience it. Later in pillar 5, you're going to do the same thing to your positioning. Make sure it holds the value that you established to begin with, or if you've drifted from it trying to please everyone. This loop ensures that your brand stays focused, repeatable, and impactful. Let's recap. Define your audience, clarify your unique difference, determine your category and scope, align every decision to your positioning. The next video, pillar 4, is about marketing. You can always come back to this video to validate your positioning before you move forward. My name is Shahruz and I'm a film producer, and beyond helping people with executing their ideas, I help them make better decisions early before mistakes start to cost real time and real money. And through filmmaking, personal branding, and community building, I help artists and filmmakers sustain a career. Hope to see you on the next video.